Okay, hello trainers. I'm Candace Storr and I began as training coach for Salt River in January. Sharon Norris is our training coach from Northern Bluegrass. She helped to develop this little connection and she's running the tech side and she's awesome. So thank you, Sharon. For the next hour, we'll help each other find strategies to grow our confidence as presenters. It's really an interactive session and I just hope to hear from everybody and to help each other. So today we are going to try a new platform. So this platform that you're seeing in front of you, it is called Canva. It is free, but you can get the pro version, which is fantastic if you have an EDU Gmail. And we're just trying it out for the first time. It's a little like PowerPoint, but it's got a little more whistles and bells in there. So lots of tech. So I remember the first time that I ever did a presentation. I wouldn't call it a training. It was a presentation back in 1993. It was on shaken baby syndrome. I was completely unsettled. Really, you guys, I was nauseous. Like I was so nauseous and I was not confident at all. And so much has happened since then. And I'm sure, and I have learned a lot, and I'm sure all of you have learned a lot since your very first time you ever did a presentation. So I'm very excited to get started. So we're going to start with confidence. True confidence is not thinking that you will get a great result. It's knowing that you can handle any result, like Canva messing up possibly. I've got backups. So when registering, each of you filled out a survey. It was a Qualtrics survey. It was just a really simple way to get information about all of you. The survey asked what each of you do to build confidence right before a presentation or right before a training. And so let's look at what the responses that you already gave were. Let's see. It looks like we have some pretty good advice. So use prompts, be prepared, anticipate your audience, self-talk, practice, prepare emotionally, be yourself, know your material, take deep breaths, and just train and just keep training. Does anyone else have any other suggestions for how you get ready for a presentation or training? Nothing?
I always make sure I have more than enough materials, more than enough that I need to present. Like, so I will have twice as much because the unexpected is you'll go faster. There'll be no questions. Oh, I have geniuses in the room. So if I have, a larger, toolbox to keep going on and preparing with. So and then that gives me confidence because then I know I'm not going to be standing up in the room, like looking like a dummy.
Yeah.
That's one thing I do.
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, that's good.
And Patricia says she also practices her training several times, and I like to do that as well. That also really builds my confidence.
There is this little exercise that I want to do. I have one more suggestion. Maybe you've heard of this. Have you ever heard of the superhero pose? So you imagine that you're a hero and you stand like that, or in this case, like you could sit and imagine that. I thought we would just have fun practicing for a second. You don't have to be on camera if you don't want to be on camera with this, but you can be on camera with it. So on the next slide, there's like a little 30-second countdown. And I just want you to imagine, like, what is the superhero that you identify with? And then we're going to do psychological superhero stuff. Okay. And I think I'm just going to just back up and just do it this way. Okay. Okay. Well, it stopped counting.
I was just gonna say your video stopped. Yep.
Oh, did it? So I'm spinning. Okay. Well, while Sharon is doing some magic, we're going to talk a little bit about how did that feel when you were doing your pose? Let's see, Lisa. Jessica says, it felt great. Strong. You feel ready. Okay. Well, I feel ready too. So when we were practicing with Canva, and this happens sometimes on new platforms, it would stall every once in a while. So it would stall once in a while. So what I am going to do is I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to restart it. Oh, and I get to see all your faces when I stop the share.
I was also going to say, Candace, know your tech, because
Yes.
and you kind of alluded to that, because if you're saying I'm going to present this on a mobile device, it's
Yeah.
probably not going to work if you try to do that versus on a laptop or two screens, and really prepare yourself from a technology perspective, and then
Right.
practice with the actual setup that you're going to use.
I think that's a really good, it's a really good point. I am with Canva, I'm starting it up again. I was talking to Christine, and just before we started, and I said, so this keeps crashing on me. I'm not sure, that I want to use something that keeps crashing. And the key is, we're in a connection here, and we're all learning about how to make it work, right? So I would say, here we go.
I was gonna say, be flexible, take deep breaths, and everybody will offer us grace, because we've all had these technical problems at some point or other in the last 2 years. That's for sure.
It happened mostly too on Canva, just so you know, when you're trying to use one of their added things, like the little thing that counts down.
The little widgets.
Yes. Yeah, I
Mhm.
noticed it.
It gets too fancy.
It does. It gets fancy. So it makes me really nervous for using, I've got 2 videos in here, but I've got it back up
I've
again.
got them up on my browser, so if we get stuck, everybody will give us grace while we switch screens for a minute, and I will show the videos, so no worries.
So I have it back up again. And there's my audience window. And there we go. And we just did that. And then I'll go back to share my screen. So you guys, I totally got it. Yes. So, okay. So go back to the pose. It made us all feel good. We just talked about that. I think if I hadn't had some good breaths, I was taking these great breaths and I noticed it wasn't counting down. So, okay. So today's focus is going to be about balancing credibility, approachability, filler words, body language, and gestures. And the confidence that that can mess up our confidence a little bit if we don't have all that put together. That was based on a survey, that Qualtrics survey that we took. I actually went a totally different way until I looked at the survey. When I looked at that, I realized, oh, I had put a lot of emphasis somewhere else and I really needed to come back. So here we go. The first, let's start with credibility and approachability. In early childhood education, we tend to be very approachable. Sometimes we can become so approachable that we undermine our own credibility. We can easily tip out of balance just because of our kind personalities. And I believe Glenna is going to read this one for me.
Good morning. Well, I started my day out right with a cup of great coffee. but I spilled it on my way in. So let's hope this day gets better.
I'm grateful you joined me today. I am sure you have busy lives and things to do. Let's do this and get you back to your busy schedule.
Okay. Why does this seem to be a little off balance to y'all? Like, they're very nice and I relate a lot with them, but why might it be a little off balance? He says self-depreciation. Anyone else in the chat?
Somebody said energy sapper and kind of a negative tone.
Yeah, yeah. But I agree. I mean, people are usually really nice when you're in person, especially, you know, but you never want to start something with saying that you're horrible. You know, sorry, you have to be with me. Yeah. So I have this really good little video, and she has some really good tips. It's Deborah Grayson Regal. If you ever Google her on YouTube, she just has some really good stuff. So we'll listen to her and see what she has to tell us.
Every presentation is an opportunity to make an impression. You can either use your pitch to build credibility, engagement, and buy-in, or blow the chance to share your story in a way that sells. No matter how compelling your message is, if you don't capture your audience's attention in the first minute, you'll miss the momentum you need to get them on board and to stay there. That first minute is when you're supposed to establish your command of the room and the topic, build rapport, and signal that you're calm so the audience can just relax. You've got this. But this rarely happens. Here are the presentation openers I hear over and over again. Hello, thanks for being here. Hi there, thanks for bearing with me today. Let me start by apologizing for no. A presentation opening is your promise to your listeners. These starters promise that this meeting is going to be boring at best and a mess at most. A great introduction promises the audience that this presentation will be engaging, innovative, educational, and if you're lucky, maybe even inspiring. To do that, you need to stop being so polite and start being more passionate from the moment you open your mouth. While it's tempting to put weeks into building a captivating deck, spend days making sure all the numbers add up, and wake up at night worrying about whether you've incorporated all the latest changes from your team, you are better off spending a few of those minutes making sure that your start is as strong, solid, and sizzling as the rest of your presentation. Here are 10 speech openings to get you started. 1. When I showed up for my first day of work here, I mistakenly thought that. 2. 5, 10, 20 years ago, I never could have imagined that. 3. Year was 4. I will never forget the first time that. 5. What would you do if you'd been in my shoes? So here's what happened. 6. I have a confession to make. 7. I was brought up to believe. 8. Among my friends, I am famous for. 9. I don't like to admit it, but 10. Something you'd never guess about me is. One of my favorite sayings is start as you mean to go on. In other words, if you start powerfully, you'll go on to make a powerful impact.
Well, she had some really good ideas, and I know all of you have some really good ideas to share too. So we are going to do some breakouts where you can feel more comfortable speaking to each other, and then we'll come back together and maybe someone would like to share what they talked about. So Sharon, you've got those set up for us?
I do. Let me ask you this. How long do you want them for? I've got them set up for 6 minutes.
That's fine.
Okay.
And if everyone comes back sooner, we can come back sooner. But I
Okay.
think 6 is good.
And do you want to mention to folks to take a, let's see, someone requested, okay, sorry. People may want to take a picture of the prompts.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. How do you like to open or hook your audience? When you go to your breakout room, you actually will not be able to see the question anymore. So what do you like to do? And then we'll come back and share.
okay. All right, so you ready for me to open them? They'll be open for 6 minutes and we're gonna send you to your rooms.
Okay, we had a fun little group. I hope everyone had some fun. Does anyone have anything that they would like to share?
In the group I was in, we were talking about having an activity to get people moving and talking first thing in the morning so that they would be ready to interact throughout the day.
Yeah, thanks, Carrie. Yeah, especially if it's a long presentation that's like, going to be all day long and not just an hour, hour and a half or something. Yeah.
Candace, my group come to the consensus that we like to play games to get something fun, to get the energy going and get to know each other a little bit before we got into the content of training.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to get on early whenever they're training, because usually there's some kind of interesting conversation going on. If we're just like, if you walk into a room early before the training starts, there's people to talk to. You can make like professional connections. But if you get on early to Zoom meetings or trainings, there's always some fun stuff happening beforehand. So yeah, it gets you talking. So thank you for sharing. Now we're going to look at the next, and I'm leading into it, the biggest thing that everyone asked for, and that is eliminating and working on filler words. So what are filler words? Filler words are words that are used to fill space. Okay, like, I think, so, well, over and over. They're not really noticeable unless you use the same one over and over and over. Have you ever noticed anyone's using the same filler word over and over? It can be very distracting from what their message is. Used sparingly, though, there is nothing wrong with filler words. When you use them excessively, however, they can detract from your confidence and credibility. So, had to put that little disclaimer in there for you. So why do we use filler words and what can we do? Let's look at the causes. We have divided attention, infrequent words, and nervousness, speaking too fast. So where did I get this? This was really interesting because there was a lot of information all over the internet on filler words, but the happiest little article I found is called Filler Words and Their Impact by Emily Duvall, Amy Robbins, Thomas Graham, and Scott DeVay. And it was very well written, and they are college students at BYU. So that's where I got most of these 3 areas. So then the first one we're going to talk about is divided attention. And I think I have Julie reading that for me.
Divided attention is caused when an individual is attempting to focus on multiple points of interest at one time. This may be manifest during speeches in which there is a distracting member of the audience or when something unplanned or unanticipated occurs.
Thank you, Julie. What distracts you the most? And you can put that in chat or go ahead and jump on. And what is the most distracting thing when you're giving a presentation?
Sidebar conversations is what is coming up in the chat, and I agree.
Yeah. What do we do? what do you do? How do you stay focused when people are having a whole discussion?
And phone use and texting kind of is almost a part of that because that's coming up as well.
Yeah.
For a physical presentation, I've seen presenters start moving towards the person, start walking that way and flailing your arms. If you keep talking, you're getting it.
Thank you. That's called physical pressure. When you approach someone like that, to get their attention, like take 2 steps forward to the person who's kind of being a distraction. Although you do then draw everyone else's attention to them too, but it can work. It works for high schoolers, I know that. So anyone else?
I get really quiet and I just stop for a few seconds. And then I give them time to breathe. And then I start again and it gets quieter. They quiet down, not completely, but it's, I guess, usable. I can present without trying to be very loud. So that's what I do.
Thank you. That's a good idea too.
And Lisa also said, she asked if there's a question.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's so hard because, when we were in school, our teachers would actually stare at us. But we're all adults and where there's a polite understanding of people's need to do many things at once. But when I was preparing this, I can't remember who it was that said that with us being virtual for so long, we have all learned to do 4 billion things at once. So when we go to sit in a live training or a live presentation, we have a very hard time just sitting there. Has anyone noticed that?
I've noticed, I think people, used as opportunities sometimes to do lots of multitasking. And I have no idea where I saw this, but a best practice for online presenting is for every 3 slides that you have something that the audience has to do with you. So some interactivity, and it seems like more stimulation for the virtual environment, because you want to make sure that they don't have time to pick up something. And if you talk for a whole hour, right, somebody could actually have cooked their whole dinner. But if you make them interact every 3 slides, it's really hard to lose them.
That's good advice. So when people are divided, that's when they start filling in. I don't know how I did when I lost connection with my Canva. I don't know if I started throwing in filler words. I don't know what I did, but
You'll have to roll the tape.
you will have to roll the tape. Oh no, that's being recorded. Well, this isn't an actual training anyway. It's a trainer connection. Everyone understands. But okay, so let's go on to the next cause of filler words. Alrighty. So let's see. There we go. And I have Sharon reading this one for me.
Infrequent words, difficulty processing a word, or when the brain cannot locate a word, can cause a pause or brain freeze. This opens the door for a favorite filler word.
Okay. Think about the words that you use most when your brain freezes. Just think about what those are. I'm not even sure what mine is. I think I just ramble when my brain freezes. I use all the filler words. What do you guys use?
I see some ums. So I use so as well. What other folks are saying.
I think mine might be in terms, like in terms of this, in terms of that, because I feel like it's like a whole bunch of random things I said. There's no way to build a bridge from what was going on because maybe I, sort of like lost my focus. So then it's in terms of this brings it back. And also when I'm writing things, I think I use that way too much and it's just not a common thing. I think it's my or my so is in terms, which doesn't even sound that nice when you say it aloud.
That's good. I've never heard the word that in terms used over and over. So that would be interesting that and it's how you write. That's interesting. Anyone else know what their filler word is or filler words?
I think Wanda says, therefore my friends, therefore are my friends. And I think that those are also common words.
Really good. So how do we get over using those filler words when we're stumbling because we've chosen a word that's hard for us to say, when we have the brain freeze? So as some of you have said before, practice, 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 right? And then I thought, how do I avoid stumbling over a difficult word? And the word infrequent is actually a difficult word to say. Infrequent. So one way to do it is also just to change the word. If you keep stumbling over the word when you're practicing, you might just pick a different word. You have any, and then just listening for your own, for me, I pause, just listening for your own breaks. And then deciding, is it okay to have a pause, or is it okay? Is that filler word okay in that spot? The next reason that people use filler words. So now we've done, that they have brain freeze, that, and we go back here and we look, they have a divided attention, they have brain freeze, and now they're nervous or excited. So forgetting a word or being distracted both add to feelings associated with filler words. Some people are really excited about their topic. They're full of adrenaline and they just have so much to say that they talk too fast and then they blah, blah, blah. So I guess my question for everyone on this one is, when you're presenting and you realize you're speaking too quickly, what do you do to slow down?
There was a great comment in the chat, just that pausing can be good, that the pause seems longer to us than it does to the participants. And so that can be a way both to slow down if you're talking too fast, and it can also be a way, if your brain is freezing a little bit, to reset yourself. Take deep breaths is coming up in the chat as well. A sip of water is another suggestion. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yes.
A really good one. Yeah, I never thought of that, because everyone's really kind when you're just like, you know what, my mouth is dry. Let me just get a drink here. And everyone is okay with that. So that's a good way to slow yourself down. That's really good.
And then Lizette also asked, maybe you can question the audience, watch their reactions, say, "Oh, am I speaking too fast?" And sometimes you can tell by their body language.
Body language. Thanks, Lizette. We're going to do that one next, actually. I think that the most important thing to understand is we all use filler words, and you just have to know yourself and know how you use them and be aware of it. And our Qualtrics, many people talked about or mentioned that they needed help with filler words. And hopefully this helped you look at why you use them. Maybe you can be a little more purposeful in using them too. Our last topic for today is actually body language.
Candace,
Yes.
back to the filler words. If people are using PowerPoint, the online PowerPoint has a practice feature. And if you speak into it, there's a little prompt that comes up and tells you you have too many filler words. So it actually lets you practice. You can record yourself, but there's an AI in it now that says you said too many times there. So you can let the PowerPoint coach you.
That is fantastic. That is great advice. Okay. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to body language. And I just loved all of these different little, little pictures I found, because each of them makes me think about what that person is showing or doing. I have a video about body language, but what I think is really interesting is our body language on camera. It's just so interesting. I almost did this entire connection about body language on camera. I could have gone on and on and on about it, but here is just a 6-minute clip. She's really good.
Whether you're working with a distributed team or freelance clients, you sometimes don't share much of a personal connection. Chances are that you've seen at most a picture of your client and nothing more. So when you communicate through a video platform, however, it humanizes the participants. People tend to interact differently, usually with more empathy when you're face to face. And if you're not totally convinced yet, multiple studies have shown time and time again that a majority of information is passed from person to person through body language and micro expressions in our faces. So in the next few lectures, we will dig deeper into how you can maximize video to help create a deeper bond through eye contact, a deeper bond through body language, and everything in between. Let's chat body language. Now, being comfortable on camera does not mean that you need to become a professional actor or spokesperson. However, I do have 6 tips for you that we can take from their professional training to ensure that the message that your body is sending is in alignment with the message that you want to convey. Tip number 1, walk it out. Speaking in front of your peers is an activity that can bring a lot of anxiety. Anxiety causes people to display nervous behaviors, and honestly, your audience will pick up on your anxiety. And it too will cause them to feel anxious. And it just results in this atmosphere of negative tension. So if you find that you are feeling anxious and you know that you have to present or speak to a group of people, you can help reduce those feelings by simply taking a 15-minute walk before the call. That's because moderate exercise like walking it out burns off cortisol, the stress hormone that's released by the body when you feel anxious. Tip number 2, breathe deep. Now, a common trick that professional singers use to control their voice, reduce stress, and relax is to take deep breaths. Breathing out actually releases tension and enables you to appear grounded and composed before your audience, which is pretty vital to your mission as being seen as somebody who is something of an expert. Number 3, straighten up. And you remember how your mom or dad probably always told you to sit up straight at the dinner table? Turns out that their advice was totally valid. Now, even in the conference table, good posture brings your body into alignment. It enables organs to function more efficiently, and it projects authority and confidence to everyone around you. Now, conversely, poor posture, like slumping, depicts a lack of confidence or even incompetence to your peers. Tip number 4, give them a hand. According to body language experts, hand gestures are a powerful aspect of communication, both from the speaker and the listener's end. Because research reveals that gesturing while talking increases a person's ability to think, form clearer thoughts, and speak more succinctly. Which, these are all important things if you want to be perceived positively. So do get your body involved on video. Tip number 5, eye contact. Now, the most conspicuous challenge on videos is making eye contact. But think about it. If you want to show somebody that you are truly engrossed in what they're saying, you will look them in the eye. Okay, let's look at this example. Who do you think the most engaged person is on this call? Believe it or not, the man on the lower end of the screen is actually hosting this call, and he is engaged, but look at the participants on his screen. He's looking at other people rather than the camera, and as a result, he looks bored, separate from the group, totally disinterested in the content. So in order to make eye contact on a video chat, you're not actually looking at the other person's face on the screen, you're looking at the little dot, that camera on your phone or laptop. And yes, this will take practice to focus on the camera and avoid glancing at your screen. But to make practice a little bit easier, I recommend that you situate your camera so that it's eye level with you. Now, placing your camera at eye level can actually be achieved in a number of ways. If you have a camera stand, a tripod, a laptop stand, that's great. But you can even place your phone or laptop on a stack of books. Tip number 6, dress for success. Now start with the basics. Comb your hair, shave your face, think strategically about your clothing. Wearing a very busy plaid or patterned outfit will actually make the viewer's eyes go numb. So a plain, solid color, much like this one, will bring out the best in you.
Okay. Okay, what were your favorite tips from her?
I love the eye contact one, because even sometimes when I'm on the phone with people on these calls, I can see them looking, I understand that they're looking probably down at me on their screen. And it's weird to look up at this camera because I'm in my, what is this? Peripheral. Yes, but thank you. I can see the presentation and I'm trying to look at you guys this way. So it does take time to get used to.
It does, especially if you're using more than one monitor, you have a lot going on. So you might have your, like right now, I have my Zoom open and a monitor behind the monitor I'm using so that I can see you. I've opened myself, it says trainer online, that's me, so that I can be in the Zoom and see what you see on a completely different screen. Then I have my screen for that I can see, and then I have a presentation screen, which is what you guys see. It's complicated, isn't it? Just so that I can all see you and look at you in the eyes. And what does everyone else do?
I mean, I think that's the hardest, is if you only have one screen and your laptop, is to, if you're sharing your screen, you can't see the participants. And to me, that's really hard to just talk to my green dot.
Yeah.
With enthusiasm.
I agree. That's why, so when I joined as trainer, I actually did not join with sound and I did not join with video. If you try to join with sound, you'll get that crazy triple echo that you get when you try to do that. So I would say you can join again. You just have to join almost as a silent person, but yeah. The other crazy thing with virtual is, if you noticed, when I'm staring in my camera, I have like contact straight on with every one of you. And we know that in a live presentation or a live training, you don't have straight on contact with every person the whole time. People, I mean, our attentions kind of waver a little bit, right? So it's okay if we just like get a drink or something, but wow, your face is like right there on the camera. So if you decide that you're gonna like drink your Dr. Pepper, like it's really obvious, right? So it's really a different situation. The other one, you probably have heard, you look around the room, right? You want to look around the room when you're speaking. And you want to look at your participants, just like we just talked. But if you dart your eyes around to look at all of them, have you ever seen this? Like that's kind of a difficult way to present, because you're just trying to see everybody. So it's hard just to like sit back and actually it's less obvious if you sit back a little bit. It's less obvious that you're looking all around. That's kind of a virtual tip that I found.
Candace, I was going to share in the chat. Lisa and Lizette both said the hand gestures was really some interesting feedback for them. And Patricia said she's glad because she uses hand gestures. And I found that really interesting because I've noticed in a face-to-face environment, people will use a lot more gestures, or we'll see them use the gestures. A lot of times on a Zoom screen, you're just seeing the face. So I really
Right.
like that idea of moving back a little bit and using.
Yeah. Well, how do you guys like, tell me how it feels. So I can be like right here, and like, how connected do you feel like this? Or if I scoot back a little bit, is it just more comfortable, and can you see me a little better? Like, what do you think? What do all of you think? Is it better like this?
I guess if you were spotlighted, because right now you're even with everybody else on the screen based upon the orientation that I have on my screen. But if you were, I like to see the presenter up close and personal. I want to see their teeth and everything. Like, that's my weird thing. I don't know if I want to see like your whole body though on the screen.
And
I agree. I think there's more of a focus on you when you're closer. As the minute you went back, I was paying less attention because
okay.
I couldn't really focus on you. But when you come forward, then now my attention goes to you because you're right there.
Right
So
here.
that was for me. Yeah, you're right there.
When you're farther back, it's like the weatherman. It's kind of what it reminds you of. Like you're back behind, yeah, with the green screen behind you versus up close for the presentation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the comment was made too, that it really depends on your mic, because if you move too far back, then people may not be able to hear you.
Right, right. I personally, I'm sad to have the movement hindered for presentations that are virtual. I'm someone who, when I did get to give live presentations or live trainings, I would walk around and use a lot of body language and like move. So it's hard for some of us to actually sit still. It can be hard. And it shows a lot if I do my normal thing, like when I'm working, I'm usually like sitting in my chair, actually going like this. That would not go well as a presentation, right? Just doesn't go well. So I have to force myself to sit still and smile. So yeah. Any other tips that you all have or would like to share with each other about virtual body language? One last thing I just noticed, when you have a screen behind you, what happens to your hands? Like they look kind of funny. So, but if you keep them close to your body, you can still use your hands, but you can't spread them out too much. They disappear when you're using, now I don't have any arms. Looks like I have no arms. So, so you can use your hands. You just can't push them out from your body like you would normally in a live presentation.
Candace, I've also seen people try to show things when they have their backgrounds blurred. And if they hold it up over here, then it's gonna get blurred versus you literally have to hold it in front of your body to make sure, somewhere inside of this body to make sure you can see it.
Yeah, like right in front of you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Angela, that's it. I know that's a cup.
One thing that we have found too is a group that I work with got us those standing desks, and when you have a standing desk and you do training virtually, it's more like being in front of the group in an actual training room. I've found that to be true. So I don't know if any of y'all have used the standing desk, but it's much better than sitting in a chair and trying to be the presenter for a group of people on your computer. I've found that to be very helpful.
Thank you. It is awkward to sit and talk. That's not how we were trained, right? It's not how we were taught to give a presentation, is sitting. So standing makes sense. I don't have a standing desk. I suppose I could create that for myself though. If I was someone that gave a lot of online trainings, I definitely could. Those are all wonderful, wonderful ideas. Today we have, I wanted it to be just us sharing our ideas and addressing these things. We've worked to grow our skills and credibility and approachability, understanding filler words, looking at our body language. And I'm sure there's something in here that we've all learned from today. I have actually learned a lot from you all today. So thank you so much for that. Our next trainer connection is coming on up, and Bambi is going to introduce that.
Yes, so our next trainer connection will be, I believe the date is May 17th, if that is correct. And it will be hosted by myself and April Brown. And it will focus on incorporating self-care to help you thrive as a trainer. These techniques and tools will help you gain the energy and enthusiasm to work with training participants. We are actually going to highlight some things that hopefully all of us will learn at the Trainers Institute. So we hope that if you are registered for that, that we'll get some really good tips from there. So we look forward to seeing you. And don't forget, as always, you'll get an email from your training coach on how to register.
Thanks, Bambi. And thank you everyone for participating today and showing up and giving me some more tips. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.